Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. Now, so far on the show, we've had mostly journalists, but also photographers and meet directors. And today we have a new perspective. We're delighted to have as our guests two amazing ladies who are communications and media managers for their respective athletics federations. Esther Singendonk from the Netherlands and Olga Nikolaienko from Ukraine. Hello, Esther. Hello, Olga.
Hello.
Lovely to see you, and a big thank you for joining us.
Very nice to be here.
So before we focus on the athletics news of the last 10 days, including the second Diamond League meeting in Suzhou, let's start learning more about our guests. So to start with, I always like to know how our guests first got involved in our sport. So Olga, what motivated you to get involved in athletics and start a career as a sports journalist?
Actually, I graduated linguistic university and I didn't have any common with sports and journalism, but I always loved sports. So I decided after the university just to send my CV to one or two medias, and it worked. But I didn't have any contacts with journalists or with athletes. So I was really new there in this world. And a crucial role in my life played Roland Zorn. He was a sport editor from Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. I met him at my first European figure skating championships, and I always followed him, looked how he worked, his behavior. And all of these details were like a part of my future career puzzle. And the next broken moment in my life was my first World Athletics Championships 2009 in Berlin. Since that time, I started to communicate with Lyudmila Yakusheva. She was team press attaché for that time. The team press attaché of the Ukrainian athletics, and she recommended me for this position in some years. So it was how I started to work in the federation, and it was my chance to do something more. So I was just a girl who could write good and interesting, but in the federation, I could also do something for the development or in the media field or in another athletics field. It was my way to the federation.
Yeah, that's great. I studied economics, but I always loved the sport. So you don't have to study journalism to then get involved in media matters. And how about you, Esther?
Yeah, for me, it's quite a little bit the same. I have studied communication and journalism, but more or less on the educational part of the journalism side. But I have always been in love with sports in a general way. After my first study, I decided to do another one because I wasn't really ready to go to work for 40 hours a week. So I continued studying, and I did studied culture and literature at the University of Tilburg, the Netherlands. And afterwards, I got to work in the field of communication at the university. And I have always been working in the field of communication and media as well. But then after 4 years at an insurance company, I had a job as a marketing communication manager. I was like, this is not really my field of play, to speak in terms of athletics. So I started to do a little bit of searching and decided to go back to my roots. And I figured out that I really loved sports. And I just found my way through NOC-NSF. So that's like the big organization of all the federations. And there was a vacancy at the federation as a communication manager. So that's when I started working for the federation. And I have been there now for 10 years, and my job has changed quite a lot. So now I'm more or less responsible for the whole communication media part, really on the elite side of the sports. Because when I started, it was also my job to make sure the competition, everything we are doing for the members, education was also part of my job. And now it's focused on just the elite sports and I really like it. So yeah, a little
You're
bit of a
quite busy.
detour, but yeah.
Quite busy because the Netherlands is really doing very, very well in the last few years.
Exactly.
Now, were you an athlete yourself, Esther?
No, well, no, not an athlete. I do still run, uh, but as a child, I did do athletics. I think when I was 9 till the age of 12, 13, something. Because one of my best friends, she was really into athletics, and she said, like, come join me. So I did, but I have to be honest, ever since I was 5 or 6, I have been playing field hockey in the Netherlands. And then I decided to continue the field hockey part and quit athletics. But I do still run a lot. So, yeah.
Cool. And how about you, Olga?
I've never been a professional athlete, so I'm originally from a small town not far from Kyiv. It's Kaniv, and we didn't have a big choice of sports, but I always tried to do something. So I danced or something else. And when I was 14 or 15, I came to athletics finally, but we didn't have a big choice of athletics events as well. I could throw, but for me and throw, it's not my event, and I could run. Fortunately, I loved the sprint. But I had big ambitions. I wanted to be an Olympic champion or at least a world champion. So that's why I wasn't sure if I have enough time and if it is possible, even if I will work hard. So I decided to go to the linguistic university, and I competing for the university as well, but never professional. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I was the school hero, but when I joined the club and I started doing some real athletics, reality was quite different.
That's why I decided to go to linguistic university instead of sports.
Exactly.
But I do sometimes still get the question whenever I am at championships, like, okay, which event do you do? Don't you have that all? Like whenever you get off the bus, you are with the team. So you end up at the venue, and then the athletes go that way, and media entrance the other way. And I have read it quite a lot of times when people from the venue come up to me. No, you need to be over there. No, I need to be here.
Yeah, that's cool.
And in Rio de Janeiro, during the Olympic Games, I felt myself like Usain Bolt, who is running 200 meters because the media tribune was so far from the mixed zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I spent most of time in the media center for the first time in my career, because yes, I was always on time in the mixed zone, but I had to run so fast as Usain Bolt, but so long distance, like, I don't know, some of marathon runners. So, but it helped me. My sport fast helped me at the time.
Now, Olga, were there any athletes in particular who inspired you?
Yeah, it's a funny story. Esther knows it as well, because it's Bjorn Otto, and I think that many people knew about that because it's only one person. I wanted to do an interview for 12 years already, but I didn't. Yes, he is, and I don't know why, but his story is really impressive. I think his story can inspire many people. So he was always an elite athlete, but he never had medals of European, World, Olympic Games until 30. So his first Olympic medal was in London 2012, when he was already older than 30 years old. Next year, he won his first medal of the World Championships. And after 30, he jumped 6 meters, and the 6 meters are the national German record even today, as I know. And when he was injured for the last time, unfortunately, he tried to recover, of course, but at the same time, he had a dream. So he wanted to be a pilot of these airliners, and he decided to get this license as well. So, and he did it, and today he's a pilot, and I think that it's great because there are totally different fields, athletics and airlines, but at the same time, everything is connected with the sky, because he's a pilot and he was pole vaulter. So he always flies too high. And of course, it would be interesting to talk to him and to tell his stories, because it can motivate many people, and especially in Ukraine as well, even today, and to show that if you are injured, you can do something, not only recovery. So you can do something else. Probably you have some dreams or you have some plans for the future, and it's time to do it. And it can help people not to be so depressed or frustrated at that time. So it can help also emotionally. And yeah, I like him, and I hope that if we will do this interview, he can really tell an interesting story. If I will ask some interesting questions, of course, but because I think that this person should be deep, and I like interview with people like him. So after 12 or 13 years, probably I will reach this aim.
That's great. So Björn Otto still flying high.
Yeah. Even higher every year.
And how about you, Esther?
Well, by the time I got to work for the federation, I eventually got to know the athletes a little bit better. And I think we have such an amazing group of ambassadors of our sports. Because, to be honest, when I started my first World Championship, we had, I think, 6 athletes over there. And Daphne Schippers was one of them. And she was the biggest star at that moment. And now, if we are going to World Championships, we have 50 athletes over there. So I think she, not only for me, but I think for a lot of people, has been a great inspiration to really prove like your dreams can be like this big and you can still achieve it. Because she was really the first typical Dutch girl to be in the Olympics, in the World Championships. And I think she's the greatest athlete of all. And I know that she has also been a great source of inspiration for Femke Bol. Because I spoke to her recently, and Femke said she got the same question, like, who are your inspirational athletes? And she said immediately, like Daphne Schippers. When I was really little, I used to watch her, and now she's almost the same level, I think. So I think for sure, Daphne is a great inspiration for everybody.
Thank you, ladies. So let's look now at your career in sport. Can you tell us what were your 3 favorite moments, athletics moments in the course of your career? Let's start with Esther.
Yes. Well, to continue the line with Daphne, that has been one of my favorite moments when she took the gold in Beijing. That was 2015. I think that the world stood still at that moment, and I still know a lot of people who are still talking about it. And I think what she did over there was really something truly amazing. And I think for herself, that was also one of the moments she still thinks about a lot. And to be honest, I wasn't there because I was only working for 1 year at the federation at that moment. But it was completely crazy because I do remember because I was at the airport when they came back, and it was the first time a Dutch athlete won the gold, and the whole airport was crowded, and she herself didn't even believe it. She was like, what is happening? So all of a sudden, from the girl next door, she was like the biggest star in the Netherlands. And ever since that moment, I think she truly realized it herself as well. So that is definitely one of my favorite moments. Yeah. Should I continue or?
Yes.
Okay. Then the other one is Sifan Hassan. I think when you talk about inspirational athletes, Sifan is definitely one of them. That lady is amazing, not only me, but I think the whole world. And she is an amazing woman. And whenever she has something in her mind, she does it. Nobody can talk anything out of her head. So you have to be real clever and real strong to be beside her, and to talk her. Maybe sometimes her quite how do you say that? She has quite additional plans, especially for Paris. But the moment I was thinking about is Tokyo, the Olympics, where she did the 1500, the first round, and she fell. she actually tripped over another athlete. And then everybody thought like, okay, this is it. It's done. But not for Stefan, because she stood up. And in the end, she won. She won the first round. So I think that's really amazing. Yeah, I just really like her spirit. And yeah.
Now that is really crazy because, I mean, there's been athletes even in Olympic finals who fall and get up, but usually and win. But usually it's in longer distances, Lasse Viren in 1972, but it was 10,000. He had lots of time to pick himself up and go. But over 1,500, it was really crazy. I mean, you should really go and watch the video on YouTube because it's impressive.
Yeah.
How she picks herself up and then recovers and passes all the other ladies to win the heat is just amazing. It's fun.
She was just determined, like, okay, this is not happening. I have to set this right. Yeah. And then the last one is Anouk Vetter, our athlete, and she has really got a special place in my heart. I got to know her pretty well in London, World Championships 2017. She has been improving year after year. Got a lot of medals at the Olympics as well. And then in 2019, she had quite a tough year. We were at the World Championships in Doha, and she had a mental breakdown. We can be honest about that. She was really at the point like, okay, I'm done with athletics. This has been it for me, and I'm going to quit. She had a lot of injuries, and mentally it was like, okay, it's finished. So it was very tough to see her like that. So she took, I think, 2 years, maybe 1.5, to completely do something else. So she went surfing, she went on trips, and then afterwards she came back, and she was even stronger. So I think the medal in Budapest last year was so special because I knew and she knew as well. Like, okay, we have had some difficult years, but she's back. So she's really one of my favorites as well. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Olga, what were your favorite moments?
I think after this interview, many people will think that I am a bit crazy because with this story with Björn Otto and this 12 years and now another one. But it was really a very intensive moment in my career and in my life. It was when I started to work as a sport journalist. It was the first month. So as I told, I didn't know anybody. I was a really child, but I wanted to do an interview with Oleksiy Lukashevich, Ukrainian long jumper. He was first at the Olympic Games and he was first at the World Championships. But before that, he had gold of the European Championships and bronze as well. So I decided to go to the Ukrainian Championships. I think it was already the second year of my job. It doesn't matter. I was really new. And the championships was in Donetsk and I lived in Kyiv and there were no tickets for trains for that time. So I decided to try another way, not official way, but it was possible. So I found this place in the train and I went to Donetsk. I tried to find some hotel already there. So I bought a newspaper with different things. So I tried to find a hotel. It was impossible because the hotel near the stadium was full, of course, because there were many assets. So I found an apartment and then I went to the competition. I came to Oleksiy after the competition and I said, hi, can we do an interview? And he told me, yes, I have a doping control, probably a bit later. Oh, where are you from? And I'm from Kyiv. Oh, great. I have a camp in Kyiv in some days. Can we meet there? So I went to Donetsk to organize interview in Kyiv, but we did it. Yeah, it was my second year because it was before the World Championships in Osaka. And he was fourth again. And I remember, so I was working in a newspaper. It wasn't a sports newspaper. It was in general. So there were 3 or 2 of us who was working with sports. It was like a department. But when I watching the World Championship in Osaka, Behind me were I don't know how many people, and everybody knew already about Alexei Lukashevich, and everybody supported him, and he was the third before the last attempt, but then Andrew Hoy won his medal, and Alexei unfortunately was without a medal, but he was our newspaper hero for that time. So yeah, it was my first moment. After that, I tried to be more clever and smarter in organizing some interviews. And now I try to help the journalists because, yeah, this experience was nice, but better without that. And the second one is connected with Bogdan Bondarenko. Of course, he's one of my favorite athletes. I love all our team because we had really great athletes. But with Bogdan, it was something special. He's a great athlete, a great person, everything. And he was always injured and he couldn't jump during the trainings. But at the competition, he jumped. He is the third in the history. And it's impossible how the person can do that. And it was really so cool. And to work with him was great because I came to the federation after London 2012. So it was just before his 2.40 m. So we went this way together, he as an athlete and me as the communication manager. And it was always nice to see how journalists thought that probably he's a star and something like that, and probably he's arrogant. But no, after the interviews, all of journalists who communicated with him was so impressed because he's so often and he's so professional, even in interviews. And it was a real pleasure to work with him and with his father, Viktor Bondarenko, who is also his coach. And I don't know, Bogdan is training also now after so many years of injuries. And we realize how it's complicated for him to qualify for Paris. But I really believe in him, and it would be great if he would be there as well. Because, yeah, there are not too many people like him. And the third moment is the whole year.
Excuse me. Because it was such a great moment when Bogdan was at his peak and Mutaz as well. And that was when we really thought that Sotomayor's world record may fall because they were both so strong and they were stimulating each other. And and they're both really cool people. So then, unfortunately, with more injuries, etc., it didn't quite work out. But they are two really cool athletes.
Yes, and I talked to Yuri Sidych in Monaco 2013, and he told that Bogdan really did a revolution in high jump because there were so many years without so high jumps, and only after Bogdan and his 2.41 in Lausanne, athletes started to jump also high. So Mutaz, then Druan, Ukrainian Andrei Prochenko as well, and some other athletes. So it was a real revolution, and I'm proud that it was Ukrainian one. So yeah, it was really cool. And at that moment, I just thought, it's really a shame that we had this bar in high jump, because I think that we could get the results really like 2.50 meters or even higher. But it's a sport, and yeah, we have what we have. So, and the third moment is the whole year 2022, because I think everybody understand why, because it was the escalation of the war. Now we have the war in Ukraine 10 years, but 2022, it was the start of the full-scale war. And my first athletic event was communication manager seminar. And I think it was the time when I met Esther. I mean, when we knew each other since then time good. But it was also one of the one of the crucial moments in my career, because it was the first time when I met my colleagues again, and it helped me so much for that year. And I felt this support also. But after that, before Oregon, we had so many journalist requests, and my colleague told me from another federation, he told me that, no, it's impossible. It's less than 1 week before the championships. You have to stop, because there are no interviews with athletes before the championships. And you had really more than 10, 12, 20 requests a day. And you cannot do that, because many interviews I had to translate it or to write or something else, not only to organize. But I told him, yes, I understand. And usually I stopped this communication before the championships. But we have a war, and we have to to do some impossible things. And even if they are impossible, they had to become possible. So we did it. And in Oregon, it was also so many requests there in the mixed zone, and not only in the mixed zone. And it was really cool to meet all these journalists. Some of them are with us even today. And for example, Fredrik Tombra from Norway, or Nico Marius Schmidt. He's a young journalist from Germany, but he's pretty professional. And I'm really happy to meet these people. But I remember that I was also so active at the stadium and in the media center. But in the night, in the hotel, I was totally empty, but empty emotionally, because it was really complicated. We had so much support in the US, everywhere, in the streets, in the shops, everywhere. Really, Americans supported us very much. And then, so all this year, it was hard, not only for me, it was hard for athletes, but they really worked, and they show how professional they are, because Ludmila Yakusheva also told them, your work is not only on the track or in the sector. You have to work, to continue to work also in the mix zone. It's a part of your work, and they did it really great. And for example, Marina Behromanchuk, she had so difficult season. She was one of the favorites in Oregon, but she couldn't get this medal. And then in Munich, she couldn't get a medal in long jump. But she got this medal in triple jump with a really great result, more than 15 meters. And it was the first season when she jumped triple jump. So it was really cool. And we had one picture of Marina Behromanchuk, Ulf Schiller. He's a German, but he's working as a photographer of Swiss Athletics. He did these pictures where she eats her face with sand. And I sent it to Marina as well. And she told me, oh yeah, it's a mirror of the whole season. And yeah, it was really a mirror of the whole season for the whole team of Ukraine. And I mentioned also Ulf Schiller, because he's a person I met 2022 as well. He's a photographer, and he supports our team and our country so much. And so I think that it was also one of the biggest moments of 2022 that we met him. And now, I don't know all of our team, but I think many people really loved him and appreciate everything he does and he did for us. So yes, this was my favorite moments, or I don't know, favorite or not favorites, but really very intensive moments.
Favorites are always personal, so you get to choose what is special for you, and the beauty of it is that everybody has a different perspective.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies. We're going to come back later to learn more about our guests, but let's look now at what's been happening in our sport over the last 10 days. Starting with the Diamond League. So the second Diamond League meeting took place in Suzhou on 27 April. It did not produce quite the fireworks that we had in Xiamen, but still there were some very good results. Now, throwers have been impressive in 2024, and one of the best results in Suzhou came from Valerie Allman, who won with 69 meters 86, well ahead of home star Feng Bin with 67.11 meters. In the steeplechase, Beatrice Chepkoech had another strong showing, clocking a good time of 9:07.36. The women's 5,000 saw a 1-2-3 for Ethiopia, but the surprise was the finishing order, as two teenagers finished ahead of multi-medalist and world record holder Letsenbet Gidey, making her season's debut. 18-year-old Mekedes Alemeshet was impressive in 14:36.70, with also teenager Vubrista Ashal not far behind in 14:37.28. Among the men, the best was again Mondo Duplantis, with a successful jump at 6 meters and very convincing last attempt at 6 meters 25, 1 centimeter more than the world record he had set just a week before in Xiamen. Ethiopia's Selemon Barega took the men's 5,000 meters in an early world lead of 12:55.68. And behind him on the photo, you can see 17-year-old fellow Ethiopian Binyam Mehari, who finished close by in 12:56.37, continuing his impressive streak of results in 2024. Now, the men's 100-meter field included two former world champions, Fred Curley and Christian Coleman, but the first to cross the line was South Africa's Akani Simbine in 10:01 against 10:04 for Coleman and 10:11 for Curley. Simbine had shown earlier at the national championships that he is in good shape, and also he's one of the most consistent sprinters, and I like him a lot, so it was great to see him take the win. So other than the Diamond League, there were good results in meets both in the US and in Europe. And the best performance of the last 10 days in all events came in the shot put by my compatriot, World Championship silver medalist Leonardo Fabri, who at the small Frate 150 meet in Modena heaved his implement to an impressive 22 meters 88 in the fifth round with another great throw of 22.45 in the last attempt. So Fabri confirms his progress of recent years, and his 22.88 is the seventh best performance of all time. And it's even more impressive because Leo had a high fever for several days before the competition. So well done, Fabri. Let's move now to road races, where there were two key events, both held in Germany. The Adizero rode to records in Herzogenaurach on 27 April, and the Hamburg Marathon a day later. So in Herzogenaurach, many of the top Adidas athletes had gathered, and they produced some excellent result in what is a young but now traditional meet. In the road mile, there was even a world record signed by World Athletics rising star of 2023, Kenya's Emmanuel Wanyonyi, who clocked 3:54.50 to improve the mark which had been set in Riga last October at the World Road Running Championships by the USA's Hobbs Kessler, who finished second in 3:56.18. Now, the road mile only became a world record event last year. So Emmanuel's Wanyonyi's time is not even actually the best ever recorded, because his compatriot Edward Cesarek had run the distance in a hand-timed 3:53.3 in Honolulu in 2019. But I'm sure we'll see more of Emmanuel Wanyonyi, not only on the track, but also on the road. Among the women, the best performance came from Agnes Jebet-Ngetic, who in mid-January had set the 10K world record in a mixed race and another mixed world record over the 5 kilometers in passing on that event. In Herzogenaurach, she very nearly added another world record of the 10K women only race to her collection. But unfortunately for Agnes, she finished just 2 seconds off the mark, closing in 30:03 with half a minute ahead of the runner-up, her compatriot, Margaret Kipkemboi. There was also glory for Ethiopia over the 5K distance. Medina Asa won the clash of the under-20 record-breaking stars in 14:38 over compatriot Melknat Wudu in 14:40. So those were the most impressive results in Herzogenaurach. And on 28 April in Hamburg Marathon, Kenya's Irene Chepet Cheptai was the surprise winner. It was her debut at the distance, and she closed in 2 hours 18:22. Here we still see all the top 3 athletes in the group. Now, 2 hours 18:22 is one of the fastest ever debuts, and she won over her compatriot Winfrieda Mosetti to 1825. And 2022 world champion Gotitom Gebreselassie was a distant third in 2:21:19. The men's race saw Bernard Koech defend his title, winning in 2:04:24, and he had a huge lead. He was over a minute ahead of the rest of the field, with Ethiopia's Haimanot Alev second in 2:05:30, and Kenya's Philemon Kiplimo third in 2:05:37. So that's the overview. It was a pretty calm 10 days. So let's move back to our guests. So we're only at the beginning of May, but a lot has happened already. So I'd like to ask Olga and Esther, what were your 3 favorite moments so far this year? And let's start with Esther.
Yeah, indeed, a lot has happened in 2024. And it was actually quite hard to only pick 3. But I would go for sure the silver medal for Lieke Klaver at the World Indoor Championships in Glasgow. And the same race, obviously, Femke Bol got the gold in a world record, which is phenomenal. But I'm even happier, I think, for Lieke Klaver, because she has always been a little bit in the shade of Femke Bol, who is doing fantastic. But sometimes we tend to forget how fantastic Lieke is doing as well. So I was so thrilled for her that she finally got the silver medal at this World Indoor Championships. So yeah, this is one top one moment.
Yes. I love that photo because you see Lieke with a huge smile on her face. Femke is already celebrating, but Lieke has this huge smile. And she really improved a lot this year. So I was also very, very happy that she finally got an individual medal.
Yeah, she was really aiming for that one. And what is so nice about Lieke, they are both really nice ladies, but she was almost happier for Femke because she also did another world record. But then I said, Lieke, you got the silver medal. You can be happy for yourself. Yay! She's, wonderful ladies. Yeah, and then I think only 2 days later, the 4x4 lady did an amazing job, and they got the gold medal. A little bit of crazy relay. And Femke Bol, her race, her lap was fantastic. And in the end, I thought, okay, maybe the silver. But then in the end, she just passed the American, and then they got to the gold. So that was really crazy race, and I'm really happy for them. They managed to do it again. And then the third moment, I think I'm going to go for Abdi Nagbeya, a marathon runner. He won the Rotterdam Marathon early April this year in the Netherlands. And he did it with a new national record. And I was really happy for him because obviously in Budapest he had to step out of the marathon, which was it was really bad for him, of course. So yeah, it was really good to see him in such a good shape in Rotterdam again and being lifted by the whole audience the last 1 or 2K already. And I saw an interview with him just after the race, and I always find it really interesting how those guys maybe don't even look tired. So he was talking to the media already a few minutes after, and he said it just felt like they were jogging a little bit. I didn't know what they were doing. So he was really thinking, okay, when can I speed it up a little bit? And then I think with 2K left, he went and he was like, okay, where is everybody? No, nobody. So yeah, it was really good to see the finish line. It's already really impressive, the goal single with all the crowd, and really amazing job. Yeah, so I'm really hoping for him for Paris. He can do the same trick he did in Tokyo. I shall continue with my last favorite moment so far this year. It has been pretty recent because last Sunday April 29th, our relay teams were having their pre-camp for the World Relays this weekend. They were having a pre-camp at Curaçao for, I think, 10 days. And I think what a lot of people know, but it's good to say it again, is that quite a lot of the Dutch sprinters from the relay team are actually from Curaçao. And I think the most famous one is Giovanni Martina. And he is also along with the group, so he's still active at the age of 39. And he said this is going to be his last year, so this is his last active year of track and fields, and he is still aiming for the Olympics, because if he manages to qualify for Paris, I think he is going to be the first person who has ever done, but correct me if I'm wrong, 6 Olympics, because Paris will be his 6th.
Wow! And
I have heard that nobody has done that before, so we are all really hoping for him that he will manage to qualify. But when they were at Curaçao, so for those boys, it was really, really spectacular to be on their home grounds. And Curaçao, they welcomed them like they were, like, I don't know, rock stars. They have been to all kind of TV shows and youth clinics and everything like that to celebrate the love of athletics. And Giovanni, he's also like a big ambassador at Curaçao for his sports. And at the last day of the pre-camp, they organized a big sprint fest in I don't know the name anymore, but it was really special because they sold in the end, I think, like 2,500 tickets. And he ran a crazy fast time over there. I think because what helped him was a little bit of the home crowd, of course, over there. And I saw videos of the crowd over there. It was crazy. Such a cool atmosphere and music and fans all over the place. And all the boys, and only boys from Curaçao. They did a pretty good job over there. So I really wanted to highlight this moment as well, because I think we are all a little bit in love with Giovanni Martina.
I definitely am.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. He really is. Yeah.
And Olga, what were your favorite moments?
Esther told about Curaçao, and I thought that we also had one moment there as well. So with Alexander Pohorilko, who became the first Ukrainian who runs 400 meters faster than 45 seconds. But the 3 top moments I thought first were Simon's Hammer gold medal in Glasgow, because it was really cool, and this difference between him and some other athletes was really so small before 1,000 meters, and 1,000 meters I know is not his best event in heptathlon, but anyway, I don't know, I had this feeling that he can win. And he's an athlete. I remember him when he was very young. And I told to Alexei Kasyanov, our former decathlete, today he's our general secretary, and in Glasgow he was our team leader. And I told him, yes, there are no Ukrainian athletes today, but you will stay at the arena because we have Simone Hammer. It's your event, and he's so cool. And he told me, Simone Hammer, one of my favorites. Yeah. Oh yeah, we are on the same wave. So yes, and he won this medal, and I love people who had this light inside. And you see this picture, so he's really like somebody who has this light, and it was so cool that he won it. And it doesn't matter that 1,000 meter wasn't his discipline; he did everything, and he won this gold medal. And it was really one of my favorite moments, and probably it was the most favorite moment of this year for me. The next one is Mykolas Alekna. He's from Lithuania and he's so young, but he broke this record, the oldest world record in discus throw. And it is also cool. And for me, it's also very special because Mykolas and his father, Virgilijus Alekna, supported Ukraine as well and probably support today. And, when it's something what is connected with your country or with your story, it's something special. So there are two parts with Mykolas Alekna, so I'm really happy for him. And the third one is women high jump in Glasgow. Yaroslava Mahuchik, she won the medal. It wasn't gold, but she showed again that she's one of the best jumpers in the world. And with Nicola McDermott and Eleanor Patterson, they are always together. And I like these Australians. They are always so nice. It doesn't matter if they won gold, silver, or bronze. They are really always so, so nice. And Yaroslava showed that she's great athlete, really. And her work with media as well. And Yulia Levchenko, it was another story. She was good prepared, but something was wrong. We don't know what, but she was so disappointed. I've never saw Yulia like that. And it was so painful. And I remembered one of my stories, my personal stories, when I was also like she, but with my career 1 year ago. And probably I could understand and feel what she felt at that moment. So this story, it was two different stories with Yaroslava and Yulia, but this high jump has a big impact to me at that time and this year. I hope Yulia will jump higher as she can, because she really can, and we will see.
Yes, I hope Yulia will be back because she's a lovely, lovely lady.
Yeah.
Now, Olga, who are 3 non-Ukrainian athletes who impressed you the most in 23-24?
Simone Hammer, I told about him already, and his medal in Glasgow, but last year as well, because he has a similar story with Marina Bekromanchuk and with long jump and with this right one. So I really hate it, but anyway, but he's again in the field and with medal. So Simon is really great. I really love him.
So yes, Simone Hammer is also one of my very, very favorite athletes. I remember in 2022 at the European Championships, Simon had the world lead for the long jump that year, but in Munich, he decided to focus on the decathlon. He didn't win. The event was finishing at the same time as the long jump. And even though he was, maybe a bit disappointed because he hadn't won, he was still going up to Tedoglu, who had improved his world lead there, and congratulating him. And he's just such a warm, friendly person. He's really one of my very favorite athletes.
Yeah, it's true. And his results in long jump, they're really phenomenal for decasled. And yeah, it's really cool.
Even though it's funny because then sometimes when he's doing decathlon, he has a bad day in the long jump, where you would expect him to do some fabulous jumps. But that's the one that sometimes lets him down. But in the decathlon, it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so the next moment was also in Glasgow, was also in Glasgow, Alexander Doom from Belgium. Alexander Doom and his medals in Glasgow. I really love Karsten Warholm, but my hero in Glasgow was Alexander because it was really phenomenal finish, both of them in the individual 400 meters and relays. And yes, he was before my favorite athletes, but anyway, it was really cool. So he was one of the athletes who really impressed me. His finish impressed me. And the third one was connected with Antalya and race walking team championships and with Valentina Traparetti from Italy. And it was really a phenomenal finish as well because she did something incredible. She was so far from the first place. Yeah, of course, it was a drama with the Brazilian one. But anyway, it doesn't matter what happened with other athletes. The main thing is what Valentina did. And she was so far. And the last 2 or 3 kilometers, it was just phenomenal. I couldn't even imagine that somebody can do something like that. And she went to to this glory, to this first place with Fortunato, and they won this first ever World Championships medal in mixed relay in race walking. And I remember also her interviews after the finish. She was so happy, and also it was a cool moment because there are many people who don't like race walking. They think that it's boring or something else, but I always try to explain that no, race walking is really cool because there are a lot of drama there. Always, as some athlete could just be the first at the Olympic Games, could be a leader, but then they are falling before the finish line and nothing. So they could get gold, but they didn't get anything. And some moments like this with these penalties and other things, and it's always so unexpected with race walking, and it's really strange because it's 20 kilometers and even 50 kilometers it was before, but you don't know what can happen before the finish. And Valentina was really great, so I was really impressed of her finish and of her 2 last laps.
Yeah, and I mean, she's 38, so it was her first really, really big result. So it was especially important. And as you say, her personal bests, they were not as good as, I can't remember the name right now of the Japanese lady who was teaming with Koki Ikeda. They came second. I mean, her PBs were much better than Valentina's, but she really gave it all there in Antalya. She really had a fabulous competition.
Yes, and Japan 1 was always not far from the leader. So she had somebody before, and Valentina, she was alone, and she did it. So it's really incredible.
Mm-hmm. And Esther, who are 3 non-Dutch athletes who impressed you the most?
I think I have to start with Devin Charlton. I must say I didn't hear that much. I didn't knew that much about her before Glasgow, and I was pretty amazed by her 60-meter hurdles. Of course, we have a pretty good Dutch lady in the hurdles as well, but she just she blew away this world record, and I was truly impressed by her. And I don't know her, but for me, she looks like a really tough and cool lady. And I always like athletes who are maybe a little bit different or a little bit outspoken. And she, although I don't know her, she really looks like that kind of person to me. So I was pretty impressed with her performance in Glasgow. And then the second one, we have seen a little bit of him before earlier in the show. It's Mondo Duplantis. I think he keeps amazing, well, not only the Dutch, but I think the whole crowd by keep breaking world records, his own world records. So I did see his jump in Xiamen and also his attempt on 6:20:25. I think it's crazy when you think about that height. I think it's not doable. And I think I really like him. He has been to the FBK games quite a lot of times, and he's really a nice, sympathetic guy. He's always in for a joke, and I remember the organization behind the FBK games. They told me once that he likes to play golf. So whenever he comes to Hengelo, he comes a little bit earlier or he stays a little bit longer, and he is going to play for a game of golf with the technical boss of the organization. So yeah, I think he's not done yet. I think he can. No. I think he can do so much more, and it's just moments of time where he will break his own world record again. And then last but not least is Mr. Grant Holloway. I just love him. I think he's such I love the whole, maybe you hate it, maybe you love it, but I love it. The whole little bit of air, a little bit of a show guy. And he was such a funny guy in the press conference in Glasgow because Femke was sitting next to him. And to be honest, a lot of questions from the media were pointed to Femke. Even when he had the microphone, there were people like, no, I have a question for Femke. So then he sort of took over the whole press conference, and I think he did it in a really nice way. And everybody was like, yeah, okay, maybe you are right. You are here with a reason as well. And so he was really like, okay, but you don't have any questions from me? Only question for Femke. And Femke was like a little bit shy. She is like so shy always. And she was like, oh, no, just ask him. And then finally she got the microphone, and then somebody said, okay, I do have a question for Grant. So then it was I don't know, it was just funny, because most of the times those press conferences are a little bit formal, and but they really made something of it. And then in the end, his achievements are, I think, amazing. World record holder, world indoor record holder. Yeah. So I think those three are the ones I picked out. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, indoors, Grant is unbeatable. It's just amazing. And he's a really cool guy. I like him a lot as well.
Is. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, ladies. Now it's time to go back to the global overview of our sport and check out the best results of the last 10 days, starting with the senior men's events. So I'll continue to put in brackets marks which are regular but are not listed on the World Athletics list, but they are on a respected Tilastopaya website. So you'll see one mark in brackets there. So top marks of the last 10 days in the 100 meters, 9:94 for Brandon Hicklin of the US in Baton Rouge on 27 April. That's the third of the season. Over 200 meters. Of course, we had that crazy race 1971 for Courtney Lindsay and Letsile Tebogo. But another sprinter from Zimbabwe, we had mentioned him in the indoors, Tapiwanashe Marakarawo. He clocked 1993 in Lubbock on 26 April. That's the first time for his country under 20 seconds. Over the 5,000 meters, we mentioned before Selemon Barega and Binyam Menhari in Suzhou. On the 110 hurdles, also in Suzhou, Daniel Roberts, 13.12, just 1/100th of a second slower than what he had done in Tiamen. Then in the pole vault, Mr. Mondo Duplantis, only 6 meters, but another fantastic performance for the Swede. But also Casey Lightfoot with 5 meters 84 in Des Moines in Drake relays on 27 April. Shot put, we mentioned Leonardo Fabri, who moves to number 7 on the all-time list with 22.88. But it was a really good moment for the event. In Drake relays, Peyton Otterdal 22.14, Joe Kovacs 22.01 in Ashland, Ohio, and Zane Weir was second behind Fabri in Modena with 21.93. Discus throw, good performance by Ralford Mullings. Now, he was already second in the world seasonal list behind world record holder Nicolas Alekna, and he threw another very good performance, 69.21. And Reggie Jaggers, third of the US, both in Lawrence in Kansas. Reggie threw 69.16, so that's also good, and he's a newer athlete on the scene. In the marathon, as we saw, there were some very good performances in Hamburg. Bernard Kiprop Koech 2:04.24, that's the 8th best of the year, and the Haymanot Alev, Philemon Kiplimo, and Ronald Corrier, they all ran some pretty fast times. Top performances of the year among the men remain the 3:24 world record by Mondo Duplantis, worth 1,333 points, and not far behind is Mikolas Alekna with his own world record, which is worth 1,325 points. On the women's side, there were also some very good results. Over 100 meters, this is the second best mark of the season. Aliyah Hobbs, 10:78 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, that was a windy performance for both Aliyah Hobbs and Favor O'Feely competing in two different finals. So only Rachel Sears, who ran 10:77, has done better so far this year. In the discus, we mentioned already Valerie Allman. That's the second performance of the season behind Jaime Perez, who had a stunning 73 meters 09 in mid-April. On the 10 kilometers road race, we mentioned Agnes Chebet, very, very close to the women-only world record with 30:03 in Herzogenaurach. And Rotterdam Marathon also had some very good results among the women with Irene Cheptai and Winfrida Mossetti. Best performance among the women remains the crazy 28:46 with Agnes Chebet and Getic had run in Valencia in a mixed race in January. Now let's look at the under 20. And there were several under 20 and under 18 athletes who also had great performances over the past 10 days. So starting with the under 20, Binyam Mehari, as we saw in Suzhou, his 12:56:37 moves him to number 13 in the all-time under 20 list. Now, Binyam had already set a world under 20 record indoors on 1500, and he also had he was also moved to number 3 in the 3000 meters indoor. Among the women, we're talking again about Jamisha Ford. Her 22:21 in Charlotte, North Carolina, moves her to number 6 in the under 20 all-time list, and she's had one fabulous 2024. 15,000, we mentioned Mekedes Alemeshete and Vubrist Ashal surprising Letzenbet Gidey in Suzhou. So they move respectively to number 5 and number 6 on the under 20 all-time list. But a little behind them, Azayech Ayichu with 14:38:73 moves to number 8 in the under 20 all-time list. And sorry, this is from Xiamen. I think I had missed it out last week. That's why I'm including it now. Over 3,000 steeplechase. She was a little further back in the field, but her 9:25:53 is number 14 in the under 20 all-time list. And then we saw Herzogenaurach. Now, World Athletics does not have an official top lists for the 5 kilometers road race for under 20 athletes, but Medina Isa's time is the best ever recorded, her 14:38, and of course Melknat Wudu with 14:40 is not far behind. Among the under 18s, there were not very many performances in the last 10 days. In fact, there was only one. Among the women in the 5,000 meters, also in Suzhou in the Diamond League, Yenawan Brett of Ethiopia clocked 14:47:79, moving to number 4 in the under 18 all-time list. Now, there was another very impressive result for this age category just last week. We had spoken recently about a super talented 400-meter runner, 16-year-old Quincy Wilson, who had run the fastest ever indoor 400 meters. Now at Penn Relays on 27 April, Wilson ran a fabulous relay leg in the 400 4x4 relay, of course, clocking 44:37 for his team Bullis school. So I'm sure that we'll hear a lot more about Quincy Wilson over the season in his individual races. Now, Esther, Olga, I know you have very talented young athletes in your countries. Can you tell us a little bit more about them, starting with maybe Esther?
Yeah, the person who came up to me immediately is Niels Laros. I think the whole world got to know him a little bit more after Budapest. He's only 19, I think. He just turned 19. Yeah, he's from April. So last year he was still 18, and he started with breaking the national records at the 1500 meter in June. Then afterwards he was competing in the Europeans under 20. There he got the double gold, so both on the 1500 meter and on the 5000s. And in the meantime, he also managed to qualify for Budapest. So that was going to be his first world championship as a debutant. And his coach said, like, no, okay, you just come along to Budapest and we'll just see what happens and see. It's just for experience, and it's just to see how it is between the big guys. So he did the 1500 there, and then he got through to the first round. And then he was like, oh, okay, so now I'm in the semifinals. And then he even got to the final. And then everybody was like, what the hell is he doing? And then he got a little bit like, oh, but when I'm in the final, then I can win. Well, in the end, he didn't win. He became 10th, I think. But yeah, I think he is just an example of how down to earth somebody can be. His mindset is amazing. He is, I think, pretty less fearless. And he just keeps being his normal self. And he's a really funny guy. He doesn't speak too much, but so whenever you ask him something, also with the media, he's like, yes, no, yes, okay. And I'm like, Niels, you are in the finals of the 1500 meters. You can be, yeah, I know, but so he's really like, okay, don't do crazy. Normal is good enough. And I think that mindset will bring him really far. He's not. I think we will see a lot more from him. So yeah, he's aiming for Paris, of course, aiming to do something crazy. So I'm really curious what he can do. So yeah, Niels is, I think, the one I would like to mention. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And we've been seeing a lot of him, not only in European under 20s, but also in the cross. Yeah. So yeah. He's been coming, his name has been coming up a lot in our show.
Yeah.
So thank you, Esther. Let's hear now from Olga.
Yes, of course, it's Mikhailo Brudin. So many people in the world know about him, but I remember we had a meeting in the office of the federation, and one of the coaches told me about Mikhailo. Just we had one great discus thrower. He's so talented, and okay, what is his name? He's Mikhailo Brudin. So he was, I think, 15 or 16 years old, so nobody knew about him yet. But we did an interview with him because I had a project, New Names, and I always loved to tell some stories about young athletes because today nobody knows about them, but in some years they could be really famous, and it's always interesting to talk to tell their stories. And we did it with Mikhailo before his first medals. And he is actually his grandmother, is a cousin grandmother. So she was a sister of his grandmother or grandfather, was Faina Melnik, Olympic champion. And he started actually to train and he used her diaries because he didn't met her. He never met her, I mean, in the life, but he still had her diaries. His father helped him with trainings. But Mikhailo is from Drushkivka, it's in Donetsk region, and now after the escalation of the war, after the full-scale war, he went to Spain, and he's working there with his father, and he represents Ukraine, of course, and he won many medals already of world and European championships in different age categories, and he's really very, very talented one. So, of course, I would like to mention him and interviews with him was also interesting. So I love to talk to him. He was really young. He was a child, but it was really interesting. So I hope he will be probably Olympic champion, or I don't know what, but he has a great future. And we have also one heptathlete, Albina Zaitseva. She's from Kharkiv. And sorry that I'm talking about, no, not sorry, but I have to talk about the war because everything is connected. And after the full-scale war, she tried to leave Kharkiv because it was too dangerous. There were many explosions there. And they asked Anna Kasyanova, heptathlon world champion 2013, if she can help Albina to train. And now Anna is her coach, and they are working together. And I like to follow the progress of Albina. She had already, I think, European U18 championships in her career, and I like this progress with results, with personal bests in different events and in heptathlon. So we will see. I don't know what she will show in the future, but it's interesting to follow her career. And we also have a very young thrower, Polina Dzerozhinska. Her surname is complicated even for some Ukrainian, but it's really nice one. So with the sounds, and she's only 15, but she's one of the best, I think, thrower we had ever in the history because her results is so high. And she represented Ukraine this year at the European Throwing Cup, 15 years old, but U23. So, of course, she wasn't the first or the third, but it doesn't matter. She really represented our country. There were different thoughts about that so young athletes probably not a good idea, but I hope that she knows what she do. And we remember her results 3 years ago when she was 12 or 13. So, yes, this name I would like to mention as well.
Thank you, Olga. And now I'd like to talk a little bit more about your job. So I'd like you both to tell me what are the most difficult and the best moments of being communications and media managers for your federations. So let's start with Olga.
I had a career before and after 2022. Now I have colleagues in the media department, so I can concentrate on the media job with journalists and with some international news. But anyway, we really have many requests, and the main thing is to organize everything because our athletes are everywhere in Europe and in the world. Some of them are in Ukraine, some not. And I'm also not in Ukraine now, but we have to do that. So it's complicated, but it's interesting. I think the most complicated thing is this understanding that everything can end every moment with my career. And it's still complicated to accept it because this is what I really love. So all of these weaknesses and difficult moments, we have it, but this is what I love and this is what helped me to live. So I'm alive when I'm working, even if it's hard. And the main thing, of course, is to explain athletes that they must not, but they have to talk to journalists after the competition, even if they had not so good result as they expected. I know how complicated it can be for them, but journalists have to write something, and if they will not get any answer, they can write something what they think, and this something can be not so good for athletes as well. So it's a part of their job, and they have to do that. But with my team, it's not so complicated. We really have good athletes. I really have a good team. So I'm a happy team press attaché because they understand what they have to do. So I cannot say that, yes, we have these weaknesses, but everything is fine because we love it. We love what we do. So that's why it's, even if it's hard, it's not so hard. It's complicated to explain. I think you have to feel it, and then you will understand what I mean. Probably you know Anna, because you were worked also with media so many years, and you also love it. Yes, and I love these moments with all of our meetings and European aesthetics communication seminars, because we met each other with our colleagues, with Esther as well, so we can change our experience, to talk to each other, how it works in some federation. I saw also that we have some negative reviews, of course, but other federations from other countries had the same. So if you make a mistake, you will hear some negative things, but it's typical for the federation. It doesn't matter if it's Ukrainian federation, German federation, or I don't know, British federation. We had similar stories, but it's always nice to meet colleagues and to talk to each other. So yes, and as a team press attaché, communication manager, when I was in Ukraine before the full-scale war, I was also working as a commentator, and it was another experience, but it was fine. I was never a professional commentator, but I really loved it, and I really miss it now. And especially I love to commentate race walking, because after this commentary, many people could open something new for themselves, and it was really nice. And I was happy to do something for this athletics event I really loved. And it was a good experience. And as I said, I really missed it now.
That's interesting that you find, that you love commentating on the race walk, because as you said, some people find it a little bit, but if you can help them, because also one thing about race walking is that I think the athletes in race walking are absolutely fabulous. They're such lovely, lovely people, down to earth, all very humble, even great champions like Jefferson Perez. They're always lovely, lovely people. So I also like the race walking.
Yeah, but I remember 50 kilometers in Tokyo Olympic Games, and it was in the night. And before that, I have another commentary and had to write something and to send some release to the media. Everything was together. And I was commented with one of Ukrainian coaches, Alexei Shelest. And I hope that he will help me. But when it was already 2 or 3 a.m., it was a moment when I felt that I'm sleeping, almost sleeping, and he as well. And then I realized, okay, I have to say something, at least something. Yes, and I woke up again, but it was really hard. Yeah, it was one of the most difficult moments in my career, probably at 2 or 3 a.m. in Tokyo during the 50 kilometers, but we did it. Yes.
Congratulations, Olga.
Thank you.
And Esther, what are your feelings on this subject?
Yeah, I can completely recognize what Olga is saying about it. It's either you love it or you hate it, I think, in our job. I think we have created at our federation a really good team. And for us, maybe it's a little bit easier because, like Olga said, like not all the athletes live or in Ukraine or train in Ukraine. At Papendal, we have quite a close, hectic, close group of athletes, and that's where our office is as well. So we are really close to the athletes. So whenever we have like a media request for them, it's quite easy to set that one up. Which is also really helpful because we are like amongst the athletes, at least I am. We are also really close to the athletes. So we can easily just between lunchtime go to the training area and shoot like a little reel for Instagram or something like that, or have a little cup of coffee with one of the athletes and talk about life. I don't know. And it's also like a good way of getting to know these athletes better and better. So I think that's really helpful to have created that kind of environment. And of course, we also have athletes outside of Papendal, but the Netherlands is not that big. So whenever we have like central press conferences before championships, they all come together to Papendal and we invite the media, and that's pretty easy to arrange. But of course, that are the more or less the fun parts of our job. But also I think we all know about the difficult parts of our job. And I think it's really good that you can relate to each other, because we all know how it can be. And then I mean, like situations with injuries of athletes, but maybe even worse, like unacceptable behavior, which is really a hot topic at the moment. And we are actually in the middle of quite a big case. And it really takes a lot of energy to take all the right steps. Like, okay, how do you pronounce something to the media, or do you not tell anything to the media? It's quite a lot of more crisis communication, but that's also part of the job. So it's always funny, because a lot of people, friends, they say to me like, oh, you really have the best job in the world, and you get to travel everywhere, you get to meet all these athletes, which is really nice. Of course, it's the real cool part of the job. And whenever something bad happens, or whenever there's trouble in paradise, like at this moment, they are like, okay, this is also part of your job. Yeah, this is also part of the job. And it's never happening on Monday morning at 9:00, but these kind of things always burst out in the media in the weekend or something like that. So yeah, sometimes it's happening, and you have to deal with it. And I think it's really good that you have to create like a good team around these kind of cases, and to make sure, okay, what is happening, what do we need to do, and how are we coping with this? But yeah, of course, the beautiful part about this job, or the best moments, is for me, it is to really get to know all these incredible athletes, to see their achievements, to see how they are growing, and also to be there for them whenever there are times when things are not going that well, because a lot of them have already seen those moments as well. And it's really nice to meet and create new friends all over the world, and see my colleagues all over the world at championships, and also outside championships, to really build up beautiful friendships.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. So let's look now at what events or athletes you're most looking forward to in the coming months. Starting with Esther.
Tomorrow, the World Relays, tomorrow and Sunday. We have all our teams there. So, we are really hoping for them to qualify for the Olympics, of course, because that would mean, I think we have pretty good chances, at least with the 4x4. And the 4x1, we have to see. It can be a little bit difficult. So, I'm really looking forward to the World Relays. It's such a shame I'm not there, but hopefully next time. And then, of course, Rome, Europeans this June. We have been there to this European Athletics Seminar for communication managers last April, with Olha as well. And we had a really nice time, enjoyed the city a lot. So I'm really looking forward to those championships. I think the venue is amazing. They still have, I think, quite a good job to do to sell some more tickets and to fill that really huge stadium. And then afterwards it's Paris. Let's see if we can do a little bit better after Tokyo even. That surprised everybody already. So it's going to be hard to increase 9 medals, but let's see. I think those are the 3 most important things I'm looking forward to.
Definitely. Tokyo was one fabulous Olympics for the Netherlands and for Italy.
Yeah, it was.
It will be very difficult for us as well to do better than the 5 goals. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And Olga, what are the events you're most looking forward to for this summer?
I can only support Esther because she told everything, but I'm also waiting for the start of Ukrainian athletes in Diamond League. because in China we didn't have our assets. And so, yeah, it's plus that words that Esther told already. And of course, yes, Rome, Bahamas, and Paris. Paris will be the main one. We will see what will happen there, because it's always complicated to say how many medals you will win or your team will win. And everybody asked about that. And even in Rome during the seminar, some of our colleagues asked, okay, how do you think? How many medals will win your team, and your team? And yeah, we don't know. For example, nobody was expected that Yuri Rojas will be injured. And probably somebody will do that. It's good for Marina Behromanchuk, but I don't think so that it's good, because she wanted to compete with her. And in Budapest, we saw that Marina was so close to the gold medal, even with Yuri Rojas. And it's complicated to be glad that your rival, that somebody is injured, because athletes know how hard it is, and they cannot be glad because, or satisfied because of that. So complicated to say what we will win in Paris, but we hope for our best as usual. And yeah, we believe in our athletes as well, so we will see.
Great. Thank you, Olga. So let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. So, of course, as we mentioned, tomorrow and Sunday, World Relays take place in the Bahamas. Also on Sunday, Korzeniowski Race Walking Cup, another leg of the World Race Walking Tour Gold in Warsaw. On 9 May, one day before the Diamond League meeting in Doha, Mutaz Barshim is organizing the What's Gravity Challenger. So we'll see how that goes. On the 10th of May is the Diamond League meeting. 10 and 12 of May, 10 to 12 of May, Ibero-American Championships in Cuiabá in Brazil. 11 May in Portugal, Gran Premio Internacional Rio Mayor, World Race Walking Tour Gold. Also, that's a really busy weekend again. Jamaica Athletics Invitational on 11 May. That's a silver meet on the Continental Tour. And 11 and 12 World Combined Events Tour meeting in Arona in Spain. 16 to 18 May is the Kenyan Championships in Nairobi. 18 May, also a lot of competitions taking place. USATF Los Angeles Grand Prix. In racewalk, the Gran Premio Cantones de A Coruña. In Poland, in Stadium Janusz Kuzocinski Memorial, and in London, the night of 10,000 meter PBs. And on the Saturday and Sunday, the best combined events meeting in Götzis. 19 May, also the Rabat Diamond League meeting, and on the Challenger on the Continental Tour Gold level, Seiko Golden Grand Prix in Tokyo. On 25 May, Prefontaine Classic in Eugene, the next leg of the Diamond League. 25 and 26 May, Balkan Championships in Izmir. 26 May, South American Road Running Championships in Asunción, Paraguay. Ostrava Golden Spike meeting on 28 May. That's always a great event. 30 May, Oslo Bislett Game, Diamond League returns. And on the 30th of May until 2 June are the European Off-Road Running Championships in Annecy in France. So a lot of things taking place. And then, of course, we have June, which is also packed with events. But really, this year is totally crazy. I mean, the calendar is so intense. So we're now at the end of our program. It was lovely to have Olga and Esther with us on the show.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you for having us. It was really nice talking to you both.
Thank you.
It was great, and it was good to do it together. You have similar stories, but different perspectives in some ways. So It was really good to do that together. So thank you very much, ladies. And thank you all for watching. And see you in 2 weeks on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the last fortnight. Thank you, everyone. Ciao.